All right, ladies. So we're here today. We're talking about the season recap, all of our fun moments, all of the exciting stories we heard, so many different topics we covered. And I am just super excited to dive in and maybe have a little laughter along the way of some of the things that we talked about, maybe recap some of the wonderful and inspiring things we talked about, and really, talk about the future and where the podcast is going from here. So I'm going to kick it over to you, Cara, because we've been doing this obviously as a duo at the beginning of the stages of this. And then we've brought on Sam Monroe to... Yeah, you had to jump in, and I think it really added an incredible element to our show. But I want to kick it over to you, to Cara, to start off and give me a little bit of when we first started, what was something that you really were inspired to talk about? What was the topic that you came to the table, wanted to share with the world, and give me some highlights of maybe that conversation that we had.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, I want to take it back to, just the infancy of the idea of the podcast that we started with. This has been a pipe dream of mine for a million years. And I've been wanting to do a podcast and I've been looking for the team to collaborate with to really bring it to life. So this has been so much fun to actually see it all the way through. And, when we went into it at the beginning, it was all about demystifying the MCs and really opening up the door to what happens behind the scenes in the event planning process, which I think we've done in some different ways and we're going to continue to do more. But when we decided to go with the confession spin on it, for me, it was so much more interesting and so much more gratifying to talk about, because you don't even realize how many crazy stories you've had over the years until you start, talking about one thing and it reminds you of another thing and it sort of spirals. But one of my favorite moments was when Ashley was sharing one of her first confessions, and she lined it up as a anonymous confession, and then later told me that this actually happened to her, and that was a highlight for me. And I want to remind her of the confession she shared where a horse was in the ballroom and took care of business.
It says, my CEO had the wild idea that he wanted to ride onto the stage for his keynote on a horse. Yes, you read that right. I don't know if he was going through a cosplay moment as the knight in shining armor of our tech company, riding in to save the day, but we mobilized and found an equestrian partner that would help us. So this was a hotel, and there was a lot of prep and planning to lay down flooring along the route and something called a bun bag on the horse in case the inevitable happened. Yes, we're talking poop, people. All was set and ready, and off he went up through the crowd to take the stage. Somewhere about midway down the center aisle, something must have shifted on the horse's bun bag because he paused, stopped, and took the largest horse right in the middle of the crowd. My CEO, unaware of what was happening, was trying to get the horse to keep moving towards the stage. And while continuing his trot, the horse's own trot, so to speak, didn't stop. By the time he made it to the stage, the entire ballroom was either hysterical, snapping photos, or plugging their noses. At the end of his keynote, we had to usher guests out on the other side of the aisles because, God forbid, someone would have stepped in or slipped in horse poop. Lesson learned. Next time a horse in a ballroom is mentioned, just say nay.
But that was actually a story that happened for Ashley, so I wanted to uncover that, demystify that to everyone, and let you all know that that's a real story that really happened to one of our hosts.
Cara, you're not supposed to tell everyone that. I thought I told you that in confidence. No, yeah, that did really happen to me. It will be forever ingrained in my mind. It was definitely a fun one to share, and I had to share it anonymously because I was like, I really don't know if I want to necessarily, the start of this podcast, put that out there that I experienced that, but I guess, all bets are off now at this point, right? So
here we are at the end of the season. I had to unveil the truth.
Unveil the truth. That's true. No, that was a lot of fun. And I feel like, to Cara's point, yes, this was something that kind of grew and has developed into this incredible idea. And I couldn't be more thrilled to be in the room with you two ladies, as our team has grown. And we just are having a blast. I think that's the kind of biggest takeaway I have from this is the fun that we're having along the way. Sam, I know you obviously joined the podcast a little later on, but you've had the pleasure of listening to Cara and I's voices over several months, unfortunately. So I'd love to hear from you. Like, what was one of your favorite episodes that you listened to?
That's a good one. Okay, because I know I told you guys I was event planner confession nerd before you asked me to join on. So when you guys asked me, I was jumping on my seat, so excited. So thank you guys for asking me to join in on all of this fun. It's just been amazing. And I think I learned so much just being involved in these conversations with you guys. That's been huge in just my professional growth and everything. But I have to say the women leading episode where you guys talked about the imposter syndrome that you guys all suffer from.
Event planner confession. I had a little bit of imposter syndrome myself. And I worked for an independent DMC. And when CSI acquired us, I became a partner at CSI. I was 29 years old.
Wow.
And my business partners were not in my same generation. And they were much more established in their careers. They had much bigger resumes to talk about. And candidly, it was a little intimidating. But I had to sit there with confidence, knowing that there was a reason that they picked me and there was a reason that they felt confident in me to be their partner.
I thought that was amazing to hear from two people that I look up to and had never thought that you guys would have something like that because you guys are both so accomplished. It was nice to see like we're all humans in this and, you know, just have that conversation and open that conversation up. It was great.
Yeah, no, I love that because I think, you know, I'll just add a confession. I still feel that imposter syndrome even as we continue this podcast. Sometimes I'm like, should I be on the air? Do I have valuable things to say? But I think we all feel that way at some point. So I think that's really interesting. I'm going to take it because I was listening to our Trends That Never Die, We Wish Would Die episode, and that had me just laughing the other day. I loved going back and forth on all of the things that we hoped we'd never see again. And it's funny because I saw a couple of those things pop up recently. I was on a call with a couple of folks and saw some clients requesting a chocolate fountain.
Oh man, this is bad. A chocolate fountain can die. I think they're just the most unpleasant looking thing I've ever seen. You know, it's half vegetable oil. It's not even real chocolate because you got to really get it flowing in there. They make such a mess. I think, you know, the germaphobe in me is just, they got to die.
Saw some clients requesting some burlap linens.
Oh, I'm done with rustic. I'm so over the burlap. It's itchy. It's so drab and unexciting.
And all I kept thinking was these were trends we hope would never die, but I guess they're cropping back up again. So just food for thought that, you know, we hope they die, but maybe they're never going away.
They're zombies.
For sure.
Never dying.
I've had a lot of fun just like kind of reflecting on the, you know, the career that has gotten us here and sort of, you know, some of the episodes that we've done around career growth and, you know, things we've learned along the way, especially that one where it's our first YouTube episode, which I thought was really exciting because while we have all of our episodes on YouTube, we actually recorded for YouTube specifically, starting at that episode where we talked about things in our careers that we wish we knew early on, and we could pass on some of those lessons to other folks that are newer in their careers in event planning. And that was one of my favorite episodes, just because you know, I was able to reflect a lot and hopefully share some knowledge to some folks that are still learning, but also it helped me realize how like appreciative I am to have had all those experiences and to be able to tell those stories, because you don't even realize we're just such in the motion of go from one event to the next event, you know, to one meeting to the next, to the pre-planning, to the site visit, we just go. And sometimes it's hard to stop and like really reflect on the cool things that we got to be a part of and these, you know, monumental events that we, you know, were behind the scenes of, or maybe even right in front, you know, holding the big scissors and cutting the ribbon or whatever the moment was. And I really enjoyed kind of that reflection. But as we look at, you know, our season ahead and what the future is going to look like for this podcast, I'm excited to talk more about the future. And I'm excited to talk a little bit more about what's to come in event planning and how event planning might look a little bit differently beyond 2025, and how, we're going to be a part of those conversations in a different way than we ever were before, because our company is changing, our brand is changing, and how we're presenting ourselves in the industry is new and exciting. And we're excited to share that out to the world through Event Planner Confessions, because there's a lot to say right now. We have actually merged with 360 Destination Group, making us one of the largest DMCs in the country. And we are going through a complete rebrand. We are going through a complete integration, and we are in the process of really redefining the DMC industry. And it's really exciting. And Ashley's at the helm of that from our team. And, if there's anything you want to share, Ashley, to get everyone excited about what's to come, I'm really excited, and I'm excited to share how that's going to impact, more confessions and more interesting stories along the way, but also really just the breadth of which we touch events moving forward.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're so excited. Obviously, the news kind of broke at the beginning of this year. And we were really, boots on the ground, hit the ground running, getting all of our ducks in a row in terms of getting external communications out to our clients and to our stakeholders. And now we're in the fun process, right? We've onboarded an agency partner to really guide us through the process of really defining who we want to be and how we want to be positioned. And, we're excited to really kind of level up the game and set that playing field about who we are going to be as we move forward and unveil our new brand. More to come on that, but looking at possibly unveiling the brand probably in the fall. I'll give you guys a little nugget there, but more information to be spread far and wide once we get to that point. But that's the exciting journey, right? We get to really sit down and say, where do we want to see ourselves, not just in the next year, but in the next 5, 10, 15 years as we continue to grow as a company. And I think what that's going to mean for us as a show, as a podcast, is we're going to have a lot more interesting things to share with you all. We're going to have so many more stories to tell. We're going to have so many more people behind the scenes that can share their confessions and their moments of, oh crap, or aha moments that we can, really lean on. So I'm super excited for this kind of being a brand new horizon that we're on. So.
Yeah. And I think, to your point, we're hiring professionals to support us along the way. And I want to take a moment to, say thank you to our production team here at Event Planner Confessions that have helped us get to where we are so far in the season. I think when we first talked about what are we going to do for a podcast, how will it look, what will it be called, everything like that, it's overwhelming. Hire a team of professionals, just like we always tell you to hire a team of professional event planners. Podcasters, marketing agencies are all important parts of the journey. And, I can't say better things about our partnership with our production team here. And a big shout out to them for all of their support throughout this process as we've, kind of wrapped up season 1 and diving into what season 2 is going to look like. What else, ladies, before we kind of call it a season, is there any other moments that you want to share or bring back to the forefront?
Well, yeah, I mean, so I think, Cara, you unveiled that my confession was really me. I think we go around and share what is our favorite confession that we heard on the podcast. I think that's the best way to wrap this up.
I like that. I can start because I have.
All right. Okay, Sam, you're on deck.
I have been cracking up over this. I told my family right after we filmed, and I had texted them all this is the most hilarious story. It was the one about the tour guide that did the margarita in the backpack.
We were walking down the street with our guide, and he says, "All right, it's margarita time." And we're all thinking, great, we're headed to a bar. But no, this man whips his backpack around, pulls out a set of plastic cups, and get this, starts pouring margaritas from a built-in spigot on the side of his backpack. So there we are, standing in the middle of the street, drinking backpack margaritas, while he just is casually offering them to nearby people on the street. And we all drink them. Absolutely.
Where he has an actual ticket in his backpack and will just start pouring margaritas roadside on the tour. And we were all cracking up, like, does he have salt rim? Can he bring in the tahini rim? Does he have a different backpack for a different drink mix? I just thought that was hilarious. And the fact that it was true, and there is a tour guide that does do this, hilarious.
You know, my head is at a place of maternity, because what was really cool about Event Planner Confessions was that it was actually sort of a coming out for me, announcing my pregnancy to the world when our trailer went live a couple weeks ago on the World Wide Web. There I was, and everyone now knew that I've got a little boy this summer. And when I thought
the newest member of Event Planner Confessions, yeah.
Correct. And when I thought about that, I was thinking about the story of the event planner who went into labor right as her event was kicking off. And that one just keeps sticking in my head as I think about, my final days of work.
I was determined to go out with a bang, and boy did I. I had booked a hotel room to crash for a bit because it was going to be a long night. Midway through setup, draping the room, overseeing furniture placement, making sure everything looked perfect, I decided to take that much needed break and head up to my room. Then my water broke. Cue absolute panic. I had to call my colleague to drive me to the hospital while also phoning my supervisor like, hey, surprise, you're in charge now. Oh, and I had to inform the client why I had suddenly disappeared mid-event. 1 minute, I'm making sure the lighting is set just right. The next, I'm timing contractions and hoping my baby does not arrive between an LED dance floor and a VIP lounge. Needless to say, it was one hell of a night.
Let me tell you, that was a lesson learning moment to tell me to stay on my feet closer to the labor, closer to the due date, and make sure I don't find myself in that situation where I don't have a story to tell this group on the next season.
Honestly, I think I have to say the one about the shoplifting that we shared, where they just were so in a fog, went in, grabbed some things, and then ended up getting basically accosted by security saying, you've shoplifted something. They were so worried that they were going to have to confess that they didn't mean to, or get arrested in the middle of a program. It says, so I'm on a multi-day program running on absolute nothing but fumes. 48 hours with sleep. We all know that, right? I'm practically a walking zombie. I swing by a CVS to grab a Red Bull because obviously I need wings at this point, not sleep. But here's where things go sideways. I was so tired, I didn't even notice I skipped the register. I just waltzed right out of the store like I was in a weird sleepwalking episode. Before I could even get a block away, security comes flying at me like I'm some sort of criminal mastermind. They detained me in the back office because nothing says I'm in trouble like being held captive in the stockroom of CVS. Long story short, I paid them for the Red Bull, which honestly felt more like ransom, and they let me go. But honestly, never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd almost be arrested for shoplifting while working in a event. That's not how I imagined my professional development going.
Oh my gosh, all over a Red Bull? Come on.
I feel like at that point, you probably would have taken one look at her and her, dark circles under her eyes. Just give the gal the Red Bull and let her go,
Right? Her branded t-shirt with her branded coat over it, showing that she was clearly on the clock.
Yeah, clutching a clipboard, like she's never, gonna let it go. Let the gal give her an extra Red Bull, honestly, at that point.
Oh.
I think it just shows that, to Cara's point at the beginning, we're so go. We're so focused that sometimes, we're kind of on autopilot and we just let things go. And I can only imagine that is someone that is probably never going to have that experience again. So it definitely stuck with me. Definitely going to make sure that I check my pockets, check my bag, make sure I checked out before I leave so I don't get accused of shoplifting.
Absolutely.
And then sit in the back with your Red Bull.
Yeah, exactly.
I also was laughing because I got an email the other day from a client who I hadn't heard from in a minute. But one of the stories was about them. And, it got me thinking, I wonder if they heard the episode. I wonder if they knew that story was about them. And it opened up a door for a new event. So you just never know when there's a full circle moment. But this particular one was a confession that I had shared personally about a vendor closing their doors in the middle of the program and not coming and picking up the thousands of people worth of rental items and decor. So, interestingly enough, we've got a program that executes with that client next week. So what they didn't know worked out, and we're able to recover and move forward. And hopefully we don't have any big confessions to share about their event next week, but we'll keep you posted if we do.
I mean, I feel like we've definitely we've had a lot of fun. I think season 2 is going to be one for the books.
We've built a lot of traction so far. Thank you all for listening. If you are interested in being a guest spotlight on the podcast in any capacity, we'd love to have you on board as a sponsor moving forward. And please don't hesitate to reach out to us to be a part of the show. And we are very excited to open up some different doors for different sponsorships moving forward, so that we can engage our valuable vendor partners and other folks in the event planning industry that have some confessions to share as well. So looking forward to season 2 and all that's to come there. So thanks, everyone.
Just say nay.
Oh.